Hey friends, Ash here with Gents. Hope you're doing well, and thanks to Trade Coffee for sponsoring this video. Today I'm going to be tackling some of the best designer coffee fragrances for men. But before we start smelling some of the best coffee fragrances, let's smell, brew, and taste some fantastic coffee. All courtesy of Trade, who I've actually used myself for months now. So let me explain really quickly how Trade works. Step 1, go to Trade's website and take their quiz. Answer questions about how you like your coffee, and Trade will curate and choose coffees that they think you will enjoy. Step 2, those coffees that were chosen for you will be shipped out to you to your door and will arrive at peak freshness. Step 3, rate the coffees you receive, and Trade will work their magic behind the scenes and tweak the coffees that you receive to make sure you get the best ones, or the ones most to your liking. When your coffee arrives, it will come in little compostable bags that look like this, and your coffee will be inside. My wife actually started getting me into coffee, and the more I got into it, kind of like as I got into fragrances, I tried to learn more and more about it, and before too long, the coffees that were available to me at my local grocery store, they weren't really cutting it. It just gets kind of boring, kind of bland with the same thing over and over and over again. That doesn't really have much of a variation in the taste. So that actually led me to check out Trade myself, and now I've got a whole bunch of different coffees to choose from. Now you can get these either already ground or whole beans, and nowadays I've graduated to the whole bean. That's a big step. It's a big step up to the bean. Trade has coffees from roasters all across the United States, lots of different local roasters, and one of my favorite things about these different coffees is the complexity that these have. You've got the whole gamut here: light roast, medium roast, dry roast. They even put the notes of the coffees on the bags. I know it's such a simplistic thing, but for a guy like me that's really into fragrances and the notes that fragrances have, that's really cool. So we're gonna go ahead and brew up some of this really quickly. Space Cadet from Atomic Coffee Roasters. It's got notes of clementine, nougat, and burnt sugar. Yeah, sign me up. Trade has a first match guarantee where they guarantee you'll love the first bag of coffee you receive. If you don't, they'll send you a new bag for free. And for that matter, my viewers get their first bag of coffee for free anyway. So hit that link in the description, take the quiz, and let Trade hook you up with some awesome coffee. Oh yeah, and free shipping is also included. So thanks to Trade for sponsoring this video. I'm gonna keep using them until the end of time and enjoy these coffee fragrances. Ooh, it's hot. Now I've got some coffee while I smell some coffee. Great, yeah. Let's jump into this. We've got a nice range here. Some of these fragrances, the coffee is right there front and center. Sometimes it takes more of a mocha type feel, sometimes a cappuccino, sometimes just a roast coffee bean. Lots of good stuff here. We're gonna kick things off with this one, Halloween Man X. Now this is wonderfully affordable at discounters. So if you buy this online, you can usually pick it up in that $30 to $35 range. Along with the roast coffee note that this has, you're also gonna have whiskey and tonka bean, along with some spices and a bit of leather too. And with this fragrance, the roasted coffee bean really is at front and center. That's the main note you're gonna pick up from this. It's the most noticeable note, and it smells great. The quality is fantastic for the price. All of these fragrances really are gonna be more for fall and wintertime use, so keep that in mind. They are better for cooler weather, and that's just the nature of the beast when you're talking about coffee scents. You probably don't wanna smell like a really heavy coffee bean when it's 95 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Just doesn't really mesh that well. You know, cozy and warm and sweet and inviting doesn't work quite as well when you're sweating gallons. Halloween Man X, in my opinion, is the absolute best of the fragrances in the Halloween Man line. This is so far the pinnacle, and for the price, as I mentioned before, it's one of the best bang for your buck fragrances on the market. So we're gonna go from that one to the Scent Private Accord from Hugo Boss. Now this has a coffee note in it that comes across more like a mocha. because there's also a cacao or chocolate note in here as well that melts together with that coffee. Those notes mixed together with the Maninka fruit that's in here, which is the note that ties together all the fragrances in the scent line. Maninka gives kind of an exotic, fruity, dusty smell. And it's really something that sometimes needs to grow on you. It's a little bit different than you're going to find in most designer fragrances, because this line, the scent, is really the only one that utilizes Maninka. Then you've got ginger in there as well, and what that does is basically helps liven up the opening of the fragrance, makes it a little brighter, and helps lead you into that mocha dry down. Just like Halloween Man X, the scent Private Accord is my personal favorite in the entire The Scent line as of right now. So if you've never smelled anything from that line, I'd start there. Up next, Ferragamo Uomo Signature. Now you could also go with the original Ferragamo Uomo. That one has a tiramisu note, so that's going to get you this kind of sweet coffee dessert, gourmandy type coffee feeling in the original, whereas this one has roast coffee bean. So you've got a little additional sweetness from the tonka, some warmth from the leather as well, and a good amount of spiciness in the fragrance. It's a little bit darker, a little bit more mysterious, you could say, than the original Ferragamo Uomo. Also a big compliment puller with fantastic performance. So Ferragamo Uomo or Uomo Signature. Either way, you can't go wrong. They both smell great. Now this next one is a little bit different than the ones that we've talked about so far. It is Polo Red Extreme, and it is from Ralph Lauren. So this one has blood orange and ebony wood along with coffee. So those are really the main notes that you're going to pull from this one. The coffee has kind of a dustiness to it in this fragrance. So when you first spray it on, you get a big hit of that blood orange. So you get this fresh, bright citrus, pretty sweet as well. And that quickly fades into the coffee, which is what dominates this scent. Kind of similarly to what I was talking about with Uomo and Uomo Signature from Ferragamo, you could also go with Polo Red Intense. That one makes use of a coffee note very prominently as well. But I think if you want to focus in on the coffee of Polo Red or the Polo Red Flankers, this one's the one to go with. Although this one is missing that cranberry that a lot of the Polo Red fragrances are really well known for, which is an interesting note that I like a lot. But the blood orange here is super good too, so hey. Polo Red Extreme does seem to get overlooked now and again, probably because it is just a Polo Red flanker amongst many other flankers in the Polo universe. But as far as coffee fragrances go in the designer realm, this is good stuff. Now, I'm gonna cheat. Originally, this video was supposed to be just 5, but I'm gonna make it 6. So number 5, Rojas Man in the weird bottle. Yeah, it's strange. It kind of looks like a jet engine on a spaceship, maybe, actually. You see that? Yeah, you see it. It's got cappuccino, vanilla, raspberry, and lavender as some of the notes in the scent. So as you can tell by the note breakdown with the raspberry, the vanilla, and the coffee coming across as a cappuccino, this one's sweet. Sweeter than everything that we've talked about so far. It does draw some comparisons to New Harlem from Bond Number 9, which is discontinued and super expensive nowadays. I mean, it was expensive beforehand, just more expensive now. And it's also drawn some comparisons to Legend by Michael Jordan. That one is not so expensive. That one's cheap. So with the sweetness that this fragrance has, some people would consider it unisex. Ladies can absolutely pull this off, even though it is marketed toward men, and guys can rock it just as easily. This has for a long time been one of those frag-com staples of cheap fragrances, especially when you're talking coffee or specifically here cappuccino type scents. Similar to New Harlem by Bond Number 9, some people will actually describe this fragrance as having kind of a breakfasty feel to it because of the sweetness that the fragrance has. It'll make some people think of breakfast with the coffee and a stack of pancakes. And last but not least, we have the newest fragrance of this bunch, Varvatos XX. Or would that be Varvatos 20 or 20th? We'll just go with the XX, I guess. This one has sandalwood, cedar, cardamom, and red apple, along with coffee, of course. And this fragrance is going to give you more of a modern men's scent profile, with coffee being utilized along with all these other notes. So it's kind of blended together with everything, where the coffee is there, but it's maybe not as in your face as in most of these other fragrances that we've talked about. As soon as you spray this on, you get that crispy red apple. It's fresh and it's sweet, and it's contrasted with a nice spicy cardamom. As it dries down, the coffee does come out more. It kind of sits on top of the base of sandalwood and cedar. So you've got this woodsy undertone to the coffee as you've got some sweet, spicy notes swirling around it. It doesn't get talked about very much, even though it is a newer fragrance, but it's a very solid daytime or evening fragrance that you can wear during the fall or the winter, and it's office safe. So even though that coffee in this fragrance is not maybe as in your face as you might like, the way that it works well with all the other notes makes this a solid coffee scent. So there we go, 5, technically 6 of the best designer coffee fragrances that you can buy right now. Again, thanks to Trade for sponsoring this video. Click my link in the description and go ahead and claim your free bag of coffee. Like I said before, they've got a guarantee on that stuff. If you don't like it, they'll send you out another one. And the shipping's free. You got nothing to lose, except for delicious coffee. Am I right? All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me. Let me know in the description some of your favorite designer coffee fragrances. Stay safe out there. I'll see you again tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.